Hi all, my name is Diana, and I guess this is about as good as you're going to get for an introduction video, but I think there's a necessary need. Let me introduce myself. I am a mommy. I'm a full-time worker. I have a regular 8 to 5 just like anybody else. I have a beautiful home and I consider my life very, very blessed. The only difference that I have in my life that you might be able to relate to yours is the fact that my son is on the autism spectrum. And oh, my boy is fantastic and beautiful and almost 4 years old, and we've been going through the process of coping, at times grieving, and moving forward with a diagnosis that does not have to be an end-all be-all. Lake County, California, where I currently live, I've been here for about 6 years, has an average of 175 families that are dealing with a child or known child on the autism spectrum disorder category. But the problem that I see that not a lot of other counties or states or cities even have is an outsource program, an outreach program, somewhere for anybody to go and say, hey, I need help, I don't understand what this is, I don't understand what I'm dealing with, what am I supposed to do now? So that is what I'm here for, and hopefully through time and exposure and the way that Lake County is, we can get the word out that there is hope for autism. We are not looking at a diagnosis that means that your child will not be independent as they get older. And I cannot spread this word enough that there is hope. Unfortunately, I, along with a lot of other mommies that I know, and unfortunately I don't know a lot because you're out there. I can't see you, I can see you now, but we haven't had the opportunity to meet or be around each other because what's the scariest thing in the world when you're an autism parent? Is a play date. Preschool, kindergarten, public schools, as they are in a whole. So what I've decided to do is start making videos to address some of the problems, issues, concerns, and just rants if you need to about what is going on in our county and how you're dealing with it. I'd like to make the disclaimer, I am not an expert. I work a white-collar job that doesn't have anything to do with working in the autism field. But I do consider myself an expert because I'm a mother. And I am a mother of a child that has autism. And how can I not, with everything that my son has taught me, try and help as many people as I can through at least providing a listening ear when you need help. Let me try and explain a little bit of the history that we have. My son was diagnosed at a year and a half, maybe a little bit later than a year and a half. My delivery was not an easy one. He was 48-hour labor. I burned through an epidural. At a C-section, my son was placed under Billy Lights immediately after delivery due to decreased liver function. And my son was and is one of the most precious things that I have. And we've gone through some trials. We stayed 3 days in the hospital after delivery, and we were released home. Upon which I saw no immediate symptoms of autism. I had a bouncing, giggling baby boy who seemed to have met every one of his milestones, or else I was proving to myself, or trying to prove myself, that he was meeting all of his milestones. Giggling, happy, squealing, and just a profoundly happy child. It wasn't until about 20 months when we started to see a change in Jay. I had brought him in for a physical for, I don't know, I'm not sure what we were doing at the time. I think it was to start an early Head Start program, like preschool. And I had noticed a few things before this, maybe a month or two. My son started tippy-toe walking, going in and out of a room. If he was really happy, he was straight up on his tippy toes. And there seemed to have been a lot of fascination, and there was, with rolling wheels back and forth. And I mean just not using the whole truck, but sitting there on his belly, spinning the wheel constantly. We didn't have a lot of vocalization or speech at that time either, and we're talking, about 20 months. And just like any other parent, you're hoping that there's a delay. And I thought to myself, well, maybe delivery caused an issue. I mean, there were so many complications between an umbilical cord wrapped around his neck, to him being breached, to my C-section, to his being under the Billy lights, to having the decreased liver function. It was all something that I was giving myself an excuse to believe that my kid didn't have anything wrong with him. I blame myself a lot for that now, because I could have done a lot more a lot sooner had I been open to symptoms. But at that time, it's hard. You don't know what you don't know. So upon upon that doctor's visit, I knew something was a little off. But my son was very close to me. We had and do have a bond that's incredible. But upon that doctor's visit, he assessed my son, looked him over as he was playing in the corner with a block, just a block. Wasn't making eye contact, wasn't responding to his name. We had eye contact between him and I, but anybody else that came into the circle or came into our lives, there was trepidation, it looked like, on Jay's part, and we thought that we just had, some delays that were happening. But I was given a referral, or told I was given a referral that day, and upon thinking that my son could have autism, I buried my head in the sand. There's no other way to admit it other than that. You have these dreams and these goals as a parent to have a life set before them that they couldn't even dream about. And when you get a diagnosis of autism, those dreams seem to fade, and you're left with, how do I deal with now? And how do I go forward from here? It took quite a while for our local regional center to get a hold of me. We were put through the gamut of evaluations and meetings and letters home and reports, all that put my son on a scoring system. And it was probably the process of over 4 months, I want to say. We were finally sat down and told where Jay was at that current time. The most appropriate diagnosis for him was autism. And then we were sent home. I was given an evaluation form, and so was his dad, and we were left to wait. And we were left to wait for a phone call for services that could be provided for my son. But we left with not even knowing the diagnosis or what was autism. What is it? And it's something that has such a broad definition that when you've met one child with autism, you've met one child with autism. So, like any other crazy control freak mom, I got on Google. And, of course, there's going to, you expect for the best, but plan for the worst. So, what videos did I see, or what, types of sites did I go into? The ones that, displayed the worst behavior. So, at least I knew that if something really bad was going to happen, or if I needed to expect the worst was going to happen, that I was geared up for it. But the problem that I ran into was that I had no one to tell me that things were gonna be okay. My son was gonna be okay as long as I took the proper steps to research everything to get my son the best services that he possibly could. It wasn't until Jay's close to 2 years old, that we enrolled him in an early Head Start program in Lake County. And God bless the ladies there. Those are my extra mommies when I couldn't be there. Started working with him independently. But that's when we got new sets of behavior. A lot of you autism mommies and daddies will be familiar with self-injurious behavior, OCD behaviors, non-vocal, non-verbal stemming. You know, you get your kids that flap, jump up and down, lots of squealing. That's what my son had. And then we met our lifesavers. And autism advocacy and intervention here in Lake County. They were on Cobb Mountain back when we were working with them. They are now in Clear Lake. Introduced ABA therapy, and it has been, Jay's been on ABA therapy for over a year, and it started off very out of my wheelhouse. You know, you think as a mom you kind of got everything figured out, and you can communicate for your son or daughter who's nonverbal, nonvocal, and pride yourself in the fact that you can read their minds and you can provide everything that they possibly need because you're mom, your dad, you know what's up. You've brought this child into the world. But when I was introduced to ABA therapy, I buried my head in the sand because I wanted the professionals to deal with the autism, and I wanted to be a mom. And for the last 7 months, I avoided our ABA therapist with a passion because I didn't want to face the diagnosis. I was hopeful for my son, but I had no end road. I had no light at the end of the tunnel. It took Brian Merrier, who heads AAI, to bring me into Head Start and sit me in front of the therapy that was being conducted at that time. And we're talking, you know, having my child who would not sit in a seat for 2 seconds be put in a seat, and having to teach him to learn how to learn. Because when you have autism, every action that we have as a person needs to be broken down. That goes for sitting down at a desk, using a fork, washing your hands, learning how to control your behavior for positive social reinforcement and reinforcement in general. That's what we do everything for. Why do we go to work? We go to work because we get paid. That's our reinforcement. People in the autism spectrum, that link isn't there. And what ABA therapy does, it's analyzed, oh my gosh, I just blinked on it, but I'll come back to it. What ABA therapy does is breaks everything down so that my son's able to applied behavioral analysis. Geez, I'm talking about it, you'd think I know the definition. Applied behavioral analysis. What it does is break everything down so that my son understands the social acceptability of this world through the behaviors that he's learning now, things that we take for granted. You know, you can tell by somebody's body language when they're not interested in talking to you, or you can sort different things out for organization. You can carry on a socially acceptable conversation, asking for things, demanding things, going up and getting a glass off of a shelf. The issue with autism is bridging the gap to show these kiddos why we do what we do. And like I said, my son was nonverbal, nonvocal, stemming. Playdates made me want to break out in hives, because I had my first playdate with an atypical child when JJ was about 2.5. And I was still at that point, let's be honest, burying my head in the sand, because, you know, my son was going to make it. He was just developmentally delayed. We were just working through stuff at that point. That was it. I took him to the park, and you know, my friend's atypical son was kneeling down and eating with us, and, you know, drinking out of his cup, and, you know, scooting close into his mommy and hanging out and just having a great old time. And my son was flapping, screeching, running, would not reply to his name. I don't even think I remember sitting down at that point because I was chasing him back and forth at the park. And, you know, my friend asked me, is he okay? And you know that look, like, is he okay? And I looked at her and I said, yeah, you know, he has, the doctors think he has autism. I don't agree, but, you know, it's something that we might have to tackle. And she just looked at me and looked at my son and then looked back at her own son and didn't say a word. Not a word. And that was when it hit me. That was when I knew that maybe my son wasn't going to have friends. Maybe I was going to be his only friend. And what, as a parent, are you supposed to do when that happens? There's no group. There's no friend that you can go talk to, because granted, yeah, friends are wonderful and they're going to hear what you have to say, but they can't relate to what you're going through. Be that as a man, that may sound negative, but autism and being an autism mommy or daddy is a very different scope of perspective. And while the support is great, who do you go to ask questions? Who do you go to when you can't bring your child to the grocery store because they don't like the feel of the carts, or he'll grab something off the shelf and won't give it back without a full-blown meltdown? Who do you go to when someone says that your child won't be potty trained until after the age of 8? I'm serious, someone actually told me that. That's why I'm doing this. I want Lake County to know that there is help out there, and in the support that I can give, or at least try and give. Like I said, I'm not an expert, but I am an autism mom, and I think that deems me a pretty good expert. And this is a new journey for me, so it's almost cathartic in a way. But I want people to know about ABA therapy, early intervention, the time that you have that you cannot waste. And every time that you think that there is something that is out of the scope of your child to do, I am here to tell you it's completely in their scope, and they are completely capable. Because through your dedication, through working with an ABA specialist, like I said, autism advocacy and intervention has been my lifeline. Jay's aides are godsends. They are beautiful women who look at my son and help my son with the same look that I give him as a mother. And to me, that is a profound gift. And anyone that has a child out there, especially in Lake County, like I said, 175 families around this area, in Lake County, around the lake. You probably live next door to someone who's dealing with this right now. Wake up. Look at your child right now and wake up if you are not having them involved in something, especially ABA therapy. Because the time that you have now is precious. And it doesn't matter whether your son or daughter is 2, 5, 7, 11, 18, it doesn't matter. Now is the time to act. And I'm doing this now because I buried my head in the sand for too long. And I look back now and say, what would it be like now? What would it be like now if I had gotten as involved as I am now back then, instead of denying the diagnosis? Contact an ABA professional. They give you hope. They're not the regional center. They're not the psychiatrists that you deal with. They're not the pediatricians that say it's a lost cause. Go home and enjoy them. Because you know what? You're giving your son or daughter or family member denied access to so much more. Like I said, my son was nonverbal, non-vocal, stemming, couldn't control sitting in a chair. I used to pray to wake up one day and roll over and see my son, and he said, "I love you, Mom." And I swear to God, I'm not going to get emotional, but this is important. he wouldn't say mama for a long time either. And through ABA therapy, and like I said, he's only been doing this for about a year. We started off with text cards, and like I said, please leave your comments, questions, anything in the boxes below, and I will answer them. I'll either answer them through Facebook, or I will put another video up to be able to answer the questions if you have them, because I want to help. I have a gift of where my son is now, and I have to let people know about that, because if it can affect me as a mom and my son and his growth, then please participate. Please ask for help. Please ask me questions, whatever they are. If I can't answer them, I will find out someone who can. In any event, in a year, my son is completely vocal. I can't keep track of the amount of words that he now knows. He is enrolled currently in public school. He is in a pre-K special education class, and they're doing beautifully as well. We are tackling IEPs. We are tackling ABA therapy at home. We are currently on what's called the GAPS diet, gut and psychology syndrome associated with a lot of kiddos that have autism. Again, not an expert, but it's working for me, and it's working for my son. I know a lot of you parents out there whose kiddos won't eat anything outside of chicken nuggets and french fries, and it's possible my son eats meat constantly, and I can do a separate video on that. If you guys want me to, leave the comments below and I will make a separate video regarding the GAPS diet. But he eats, he's not pasty, he's not underweight, and he doesn't have the gaps, or not the gaps, the darkening under his eyes. Cognition has improved, I believe, and he's progressing so beautifully, and the fact that we now have hope is something that I could never pay back to AAI and everybody that's involved. Within the last 2 weeks, my son has said, "I love you." And as a mom who thought that all the dreams for my son went out the window the day we left our regional center, I was one of them, and I got that back. So who's to say I won't get birthdays? Who's to say I won't get friends? Who's to say my son won't have a girlfriend that I'm going to have to freak out about? But I'll take it all on, because I love him to death. And there isn't anything that I wouldn't do for him, including getting in front of a camera and talking to everybody out there that's watching me, that please get your questions out there. I'm currently working with AAI to come up with an outreach program. I'm working with another beautiful mommy who is another one that has chosen to get into the driver's seat. When you're an autism parent, you cannot be a spectator. You cannot watch for the sidelines and hope for the best. You have to get your butt in the game and make it happen, and make it happen every day, that you have the ability to make a task during the day a learning experience. On another side note, through ABA therapy and the sessions we've been having, again, my son is about 10 hours a week, but in the span of a year has made the most intense progression just through 10 hours a week. His RBTs come to my home, his father's home, and his grandparents' home, and work with my son. And for those of you who think that's going to be too intrusive, get over it. 2 hours a day is enough to be uncomfortable, because you know what, it's going to help your child. And as parents, it is our responsibility to do everything in our scope to better our child's life. So 2 hours a day, come on, we spend more time doing housework. You know, no one cares if your house is dirty. No one cares what you have in the front yard. No one cares if you have pot growing in the backyard. Nobody cares. They're there for your child. You have the responsibility to say, okay, come in. I know it's more about it's not just about opening your door, it's about opening up your life. But you know what? Your child is worth it. My child is worth it, and I had some issues when that first happened. I thought that they were going to come in and tell me how to raise my child. That's okay. Autism is outside a lot of people's scopes, and that's okay. Want the help, accept the help, get jazzed about the fact that your kid is off the charts because of all the therapy that he's getting and all the goals that he's meeting and pushing his boundaries and expecting more in IEPs and expecting more for him in life because you are his backbone when he can't do it for himself. This is your time to show how far you can go in pushing as a parent. It's not being a bad parent. It's supporting your child. So like I said, my son said it, my son says he loves me. He gives me kisses goodnight every night. He kisses his beautiful sister goodnight. And we are thanking every day that we woke up and participated. Again, like I said, I'm working with AAI to come up with a parental support group that we can have a phone tree line. We can have play dates together. I know that a lot of people are going to hole up in their house, especially in this community, because sometimes it's better just to ignore the problem than to tackle it. But I want to give you an outlet. Let me know what you want to do. You want to meet down in Upper Lake Park. It's fenced in, it's beautiful. Let me know if you want to do that. Let's socialize these kids. If they're not in school, let's get them on the playground. Stemming, I don't care. It's a chance for everybody to be comfortable and everybody to be comfortable as mommies and daddies. Yes, we have autism behind us, but we also have autism with us. And the best way we can get through this is through the bond that we create with each other. Because with comfort comes help, and with help comes results. And please believe me, I'm getting my son back. I'm getting my child back. And it's the most incredible gift I could have ever been given. So now is my time to pay it forward. I don't care if we need to rent out a rolling rink or go into some of the other counties and get people together, but I'd rather focus on this county first. What do you guys want to do? What scares you? What won't bring you out of the house? We'll get together at a grocery store and tail through on carts if that helps. I know that was one of my main freakouts when Jay was younger. But also, with the help of ABA therapy, we are now potty training. My son went to the bathroom the other night. It took him only 3 minutes to go to the bathroom. And he was extremely excited. And this coming from someone who thought I believed everybody else. And my son wasn't going to potty train. And, I was going to have, dealing with issues in, adolescence and adulthood that I didn't know I was ready for, couldn't really anticipate. But I was given a couple of calendars for this month for our area, and it was released by our regional center for any autism related events that are going on within the community. Just heard about this today on the radio. April 2nd in Ukiah is the Autism Awareness March. I will be there. I will be there with my son and my daughter. You can please come up and introduce yourself, and we will be marching. There's a lot of stuff politically going on that a lot of people are scared about, and again, I'm here. And if I don't have the answer or can't articulate it properly, I will find somebody that can. These are very trying times right now, especially with our president, who's, well, let's leave that for another video, but has displayed an interest in autism and vaccination, so it's a good first step forward. But these are very stressful times. I'm also wanting to clarify the fact of any you think ABA therapy is going to be expensive, it is required um, to be covered under health coverage. And contacting AAI is also another means to get more information. They will sit down with you and talk with you for as long as you need. But I will be marching on April 2nd. I will also be speaking at our first Autism Awareness event on April 23rd from 1 to 4 at the Canocti Education Center. And that's 15850 Dam Road in Clear Lake. Again, from 1 to 4, there'll be local parent experiences, including my own, local professionals, applied behavioral analysis, ABA will be there, and replacement strategies. And I'm there to answer questions. My God, if you need a hug, like, come up and give me a hug. You can meet my family, ask us any questions. I'm a very open book. But it's our first awareness event ever here. And my goal by doing this is to expand more than 2 events a month. There are too many of us wanting to stay inside, not wanting to go out, socialize, bring our children around other children, because we've been stigmatized to feel shame, and that's not right to me. So again, thank you for listening. Please spread the word, share, comment, like, anything you'd like. Tell your friend at the supermarket or at the, at school. I'm here to help. So again, thank you all for listening. Let's see, if you need to contact or have more information on the Autism Awareness event, it's www.facebook.com/AutismAI/www.autismai.com. If you would like to go, which, please, come on, anybody that you know or could possibly know, or strangers on the street, please RSVP at 707-461-5027 or email Sherry, SHERRY, at autismai.com. Again, thank you for listening, and thank you for letting me share my story, and I'll get more into it. If you guys want me to do particular videos regarding diet, IEPs, Head Start programs, ABA therapy we do at home, I'd be happy to shoot a video of our experiences. I'm opening my door. So get ready for some potty training videos and some behavioral videos and some just regular fun videos. But thank you for listening. Bye.